more critical issues. I would invite you all to come up here and we're going to do a quick tomato sampling seed tasting opportunity. I mean seed saving tomato tasting
Okay, I do
opportunity.
it different than how I was taught. Wax paper. You just can't be wax paper.
You don't ferment.
Ferment.
Okay, well what I'm going to show you is just a real quick tomatoes. Again, this is the time to do your tomatoes. We're going to do 3 quickies before you head out. If you need to leave, I understand. I started fermenting these seeds because I was taught that in order to get rid of that really groovy coating that's around tomato seeds, you know, that nice gelatinous, and that's around ripe cucumbers, but tomatoes is one of the, because it's a self-pollinator, is one of our easy seeds to save. We've got several different varieties. I'm gonna just, Lynn, maybe I'm gonna ask you to just pass around so people can taste. I'll tell you why I love this variety. It's called black, still don't know how to pronounce it, Trifele, T-R-I-F-E-L-E. And it is pretty much early blight resistant, which in our neck of the woods, it does get a little bit of verticillium wilt, but it's nothing compared to, I mean, it's awesome. It's probably the first bigger tomato that produces earlier for me. So what you want to do is basically squeeze the seeds out. Yeah, it's kind of almost like a cross between aroma and a slicing tomato. But you know, so I've got my gelatinous seeds. So what I would do is I take those seeds, I put them in with some water, and these I've had for about 4 days. And I did write on the top of my jar, you can either cover it with plastic, cover the top, or just even let it expose to air, because what you want to do is you want to smell things starting to go bad, basically. Because that's when that stuff will have broken down. The other thing to note is you see there's some seeds floating on the top. Those are not going to be viable seeds. So this gives you an opportunity to ditch those seeds and try to get the ones that are viable from underneath. So this has been sitting, as I said, for several days. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go ahead and use my strainer. And you can see that gelatinous coating has come off the seed. So what you can do then is, like, usually I would rinse it, and you said you just did yours on wax paper,
Yeah,
but
my grandfather, he would take them off with the gelatin thing and put it on wax paper so it would adhere there. So that's what he used.
he would basically tear the seed off of there, and that would take the gelatinous coating off.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
He kind of preserved it, and he would lay it out like that to dry.
So Mary Ann Lambert taught me that she prefers, you can do it on paper plates, but she likes to do it on here because it's easier to take them off. But when I'm working with kids, I'll usually do them on a little paper plate if I don't have enough plates. But then make sure that you put a label on it. Like this was something called Silver Fir Tree, and that stuff on the top I'm not keeping. Make sure, label, because we've all been there, right? So that's how to do that. I'm going to ask you if you all got to try the black Trifele, and we're going to do, this is black cherry. The other thing about seed saving is you don't want to get, and I put these here for a reason, you don't want to save some hybrid sweet corn, or Ruby Queen hybrid, or hybrid peppers. Does anybody know why?
They're not true.
Yeah, the next year, they're not going to be true. They're not going to run true. They haven't, you know, they're like 2 different parents from 2 different families. So we want to make sure that we have, with an open pollinated, distance is something we talk about too, although when you're doing it for the home garden, and I think even for the seed library, I think we could possibly get away with being a little bit closer with certain things. This is a black cherry, and I'm just going to ask, just go ahead and have a,
Bite of and pass it on.
yeah, take a bite and pass it on. Just go ahead and just leave the seeds squeezed out on the plate after you've had a chance to take a bite, and then we'll save those seeds too. Because again, these are the early ones. I want to save the seeds from these. Yeah, oh, you don't need it, okay. This is a really cool one that I got from, if you know Robin Intermule, Robin and Pat Intermule from Conover. Robin works with Farm to School with me and works with a lot of programs. See, I'm catching, you gotta watch, because if you catch a seed from another plant, right, then you're not gonna have. So this is indigo rose, and Pat gave me an indigo rose tomato a few years ago. And this has a lot of, is it lycopene? That's is it an amino acid or something that's really supposed to be good for our health? Well, anyway, try this and see what you think about it. It's not only is it just fascinating to look at, but it's got a really unusual flavor. It tastes quite a bit like, to me, well, I shouldn't say. I'll let you guys tell me what you think it reminds.
though, right?
Yeah, make sure to save a little bit of seeds. Yeah, we're saving all the seeds because these are all open pollinated. Questions or comments? While you're doing that, I'm just going to point out this, even though it's a biennial and it's technically harder to save, I would put this in the easy category. If any of you grow the Russian red kale, it pretty much will come back the next year and then it'll go to seed. Well, this was one that was in my yard, and when you're doing, this is dry seed saving. You want to try to wait till those pods are completely dry. And if it's a wet spring, do you do this? I yank the whole plant and I put it in a shed or something and hang it and let it dry. So that, and it'll keep, the energy is still in those roots, so it'll keep, you know, sending energy.
You think of like drying herbs or something, and for some things, if you're scared that critters are going to eat them on you,
Yeah, exactly.
you know, and it's not going to winter over, you're better off when it gets to a certain point and it's not wet, you know, been dry out, taking it and rubber band, whatever, hang it in a dry
Yeah, dry spot. Dry and